From Tidal Health Group, this is Health Impressions, where we break down healthcare marketing strategies for consumer brands with industry experts. I'm your host, Bryan Cush. Bob, welcome to the show. It's great to have you on. I'd really love to just honestly introduce yourself too. It's a little fortuitous how we connected. So I know our audience probably doesn't know you well. So I'd just love to quick introduction and kind of who you are, your company, and the space you serve within healthcare.
All right. Well, first of all, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. A little unique, probably interview for you here. I have a virtual assistant company. I've been doing this for a little over 10 years in a couple different spaces, medical space, real estate space, etc. So we deal with a lot of doctors, deal with a lot of offices, practices, etc. Like you said, we've been doing this for some time now. We do everything from the medical side, meaning front desk management, some of the tasks that we specialize in, insurance verifications, prior authorizations, billing, invoicing, social media, website management, etc. So, like I said, we've been doing this for a long time. We specialize in basic stuff of creating more efficiency, reducing costs, and saving everybody time. What we found lately, working with a lot of different practices, it's getting more and more difficult to hire and retain talent. For some reason, I don't know if it's the economy, but the last number of years, we've seen that to be a very big challenge for practices and in offices, et cetera. So we hone in on staffing those offices to, like I said, create more efficiency, save costs, et cetera.
It's interesting. We've bumped into this area a lot, and I think it's a bit more commonplace in things like billing, especially pre-authorization, some of those back office admin. I think our vibe is it's less common in the marketing side. So I'd love for you to kind of open up the lens maybe on what you've seen of its experience or trends and how your VAs are supporting from a marketing capacity.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we look at it as three different things. You have, on the marketing side, you have acquisition, you have client engagement, and you also have retention. So I think it's very important, to your point on the marketing side, how do you actually get the new clients in? How do you then engage them to stay in and interested in your product? So product meaning your office, your practice, etc., and also staying engaging with that practice so they stay with you. So what we've found, especially on the patient acquisition side, as you know, there's a number of different ways. You have obviously website SEO. You also have social media, which we have found virtual assistants doing a very, very good job of helping practices by writing content, posting on all different sites, whether it's Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and just having that presence out there, we have found works very, very well for many practices that use our service.
Is there a sequence of engagement that you think about kind of between that acquisition, the kind of more engagement and retention side? Do you see people starting in that more acquisition kind of content social side, or any color you can start to think about if there's a practice that's not doing or thinking about how to outsource some of their marketing?
Yeah, what we find is a lot of times websites, obviously everyone has their website, but it's working on the SEO side to drive in traffic. And once that patient comes in or fills out a form, obviously there's individuals that want to learn more about you. We found that places like Facebook, Instagram, posting health tips, promoting service, engaging communities, and just running content base that our virtual assistants create and posting on a daily basis has driven in more of the acquisition side, but the engagement as well. Because what we have found and what we've seen, our patients do enjoy all those posts on learning more about practices and how they can help them, etc. So that's part of the engagement and also the retention side of it as well.
Do you find it's funny? I think doctors are peculiar beasts in personality. And is there ways you start to think about a lot of times they want to control the voice, they want to control the content, they kind of want to control it goes out. Is there limitations that you think about with the VAs, or is there a better way to think about engaging with them?
No, it's funny. It's pretty interesting because the individuals we work with, especially doctors that are more particular, they typically like you said, at the control side, we'll just give virtual assistants kind of the idea and the outline of it, and the VAs will create the content and put it in their voice. There's so many tools, Brian. I know you know this. About different AI tools that are used on a daily basis. So what we do is we train our virtual assistants on how to use those different types of AI tools, whether it's ChatGPT, whether it's Grok, I should say, a couple different other tools that we train our virtual assistants to use. So it does create the voice. It's very, very interesting how AI is just becoming very, very commonplace nowadays.
That's interesting. So, I mean, that's a clear like, kind of level up skill set too that these VAs are bringing. That not only are you outsourcing too, but it sounds like they're bringing a technology, whether it's AI or something else, into the fray through the marketing efforts as well.
Yeah, and it seems like doctors like that because as AI trains the voice of what each doctor is, they don't have to spend time doing that, speaking in their voice. So AI helps with that, and we train our virtual assistants on how to do that and what things to look for.
I wonder if there's an answer underneath this. Is there, if there's a practice, a doctor, a small group thinking about this, is there kind of signs or signals that you see to go, okay, this is the right time to engage a VA? It could be kind of in any of those buckets if it's acquisition or the retention engagement side.
Yeah. What we find is branding is very, very important. Obviously, digital marketing is today's day and age, it's everywhere. So, I mean, we recommend that everybody, no matter what type of business is, you have to have a presence online. So, we see, to our point, we see doctors now are starting to look at it and say, hey, we have to get our face out there. We have to start promoting. We have to have content out there to start now separating ourselves from everybody else. So I think it's very, very important as competition goes up that there's always a face out there. There's always promotion. There's always content out there where you're first and foremost in front of everybody.
Yeah, that makes sense, I think, and how to think about just leveraging the doctor's time. It's kind of like highest and best use time we're always trying to think about.
Yep. I think that's important, highest and best use time, because we all know that time is limited, and the success that we see on the practices that use our service has been exponentially higher by always staying out there and promoting and posting and just having content out there. It's been very, very important because we're seeing a lot of individuals trying to get patients' time, whether it's engagement, retention, acquisition, all under those three umbrellas.
Yeah, can you start to peel the layer back maybe on the other parts? I know we've definitely put on kind of the acquisition branding side. How do you start to think about the other areas within marketing that honestly even sometimes may even dip into more operations a little bit too?
Yeah, I think, when we start looking at it, you look at the different types of tasks on that side of it, especially the engagement side, it kind of goes down in the same bucket, if you will, where it's the branding and outreach. One thing that works very, very well is posting health tips on a weekly basis. Usually it's about 3 times a week, posting different health tips because it stays in front. It's a content marketing where they look at a trend, they follow healthcare tips and topics, and then they curate the relevant content that will go to the, really helping out that practice in that industry specific, because this is what we're finding very, very commonplace now that has been driving and keeping patients within that practice. Obviously, SEO optimization is very important, but the social media management side has been a game-changing an opportunity for practices of what we're seeing on a daily basis today.
Do you see that dip into, like, we're seeing just a lot more relevancy placed into like support communities as well too? Is there a push pull nature to that of not just producing the content, but then any kind of like engagement, kind of
Engagement.
going back and forth?
Absolutely, 100%. And there's, like I said, there's a lot of different tools that are engage. We have, virtual assistants responding back and forth. There's AI bots that'll also answer in real time. That I think is very, very important to start looking into. And we train our virtual assistants on those typical bots to make sure the voice it's the doctor's voice. And we see this commonplace because a lot of doctors are saying, well, it doesn't sound like it'd be my voice. I'm worried about how those are going to be answered. So there are tools that are used behind the scenes to make sure the voice is in your voice, to make sure you stay within that kind of realm to make sure it's not off base on how you would answer or a doctor would answer those type of questions.
It sounds like you might even be bumping into like this almost like call center vibe too. Are these roles handling like if people start to inquire, message through these social media platforms, kind of get past the bot stage and you're now starting to field intakes, is that a part of what's supported as well?
Yeah, absolutely. So what you do, what we do, and what you find is that you train virtual assistants. It's like one-on-one. It's same thing. It's a one-on-one, one virtual assistant to one doctor relationship. So they'll do all of these tasks on the branding, digital marketing, social media, etc. And then when you get inbound inquiries, there's typically frequently asked questions that we work with the doctor to fill out. So then the virtual assistant again will be responding in their voice. So it's a one-on-one relationship with the doctor and any type of client. So it is a real person behind it.
Do you find there, I gotta assume there's probably commonalities when someone engages that there's kind of these friction points or things that maybe doctors need to just get comfortable letting go. Is there things that kind of come to mind if you have someone that's kind of hesitant to think about this and just like how to get them in the right mindset for this to be successful?
Yeah, we found it doesn't, it's kind of interesting because in any business, a lot of times when you have, let's say, solopreneurs or practices, a lot of times it's very difficult letting go. And we find it the 80-20 rule, no matter what it is in the medical office or if it's in any type of office, 80% is better than nothing, right? So think about this. No one can answer a question better than you ever, right? In your expertise. But if someone could answer it 80% as good as you, then you literally just gained 20, 30, 40 hours a week by offsetting a task that could answer it 80% as good as you.
Yeah, and I think that's really just simple and helpful way to frame it that so many doctors are kind of a little feared to let go of things, but
Yep.
they often are not the thing that kind of again that kind of serves them in the best use to their time.
Agreed. Agreed.
Maybe we're dipping into operations a lot too. Like how do you start to think about a level of kind of re-engagement with maybe existing patients, whatever that kind of communications that could fall into that kind of more marketing kind of slash operations bucket.
Yeah, I think the following up, staying in front of everybody with the content, right? So just like in any business, right? Once you have a name, how do you engage them? Do you put them in a community on Facebook? Do you put them into your list? So every time you put them in your list, you have someone's contact information. Is how do you turn that lead into a patient, if you will? What we found is the consistent things that you do are posting on social media, have them on your list, inviting them into a community, and just staying active within that community is found. That's the thing. Those are the two things that we're seeing is very, very, very successful nowadays.
Yeah, that's an interesting. Can you add some more color when you say community? What does that look like? Or is that people creating their own support groups or just
Yeah.
pulling them into existing ones? What does that look like?
So a lot of individuals that we work with today are creating a new community because they have an idea of whatever that community is, and then now our virtual assistants push people into that community to where they can learn, where they can stay in front of them. It's just a very good way to engage and retain individuals. So it's the new communities that we have found today that a lot of doctors are actually getting into and creating, and our VAs are helping facilitate that.
Do you find is that something that the practice is kind of building de novo themselves? Or is that an existing Facebook group or a support Reddit channel that they're just going, hey, like agnostic to us, like these are just resources that we think are useful to you.
Yep.
Do you find both or just like how to think about that?
Yeah, we find both. We find
Mm.
both. Those are all great channels, whether it's Reddit that point to a Facebook community. There's also a lot of different communities that we're looking to see existing and brand new ones. Because on the existing side, it's a lot easier to, obviously, that's less on the branding side, but more pushing those individuals into that community that we found really works well on the digital side. Because if you have, whether it's SMS, whether it's social media, whether it's content posts, it's all going into that funnel and keeping them engaged inside your community.
Yeah, that's a really important distinguish. We're starting to see that a lot too, of like it's really the difference between brand and performance
Mm-hmm.
marketing is reputation was so kind of siloed to just platforms of reviews like Google and Yelp. But it's such a powerful space if you can support that patient, bring them into a community, whether it's on a Facebook or a Reddit, they're eventually going to get asked kind of like, well, where did you get your problem
Yep.
solved? And that really becomes this huge echo chamber, and we can literally see the data that people are even bypassing search and coming right from these support communities to websites.
Yep, and you nailed it. So the reviews are extremely important, right? So VAs can also reach out to patients to get reviews as well, and then that again will push them into the community, etc. So that is one of the things we're seeing as well.
Do you see that? So that's a pretty commonplace responsibility already. That just whether that's plugging into a technology or a workflow that they're reaching out to patients for
Yep.
online reviews.
Yeah, and that's very important because obviously we know, everyone's looking at online reviews today. No matter, like I said, no matter what business it is, we're always looking at it because you have the Google reviews or wherever you look, you're looking right at those reviews and how many stars you have. So, like I said, that's something that we find that's very, very beneficial for practices.
Is there any layer of data that these VAs start to interact with, whether it's from a marketing kind of internal, maybe it's even just kind of like the event that would trigger when to reach out for a review. Is there a way to think about any kind of leveraging of your own data or systems with these VAs as well?
Yeah, so typically we have them reach out once every 7 to 14 days, just to re-engage them, and just to keep them inside that, inside kind of your ecosystem. Like you said, because our virtual assistants actually do content, like I said, a couple times a week, which is always in front of them. So it's very, very important that engagement in that. I think the new content, the new tips work out very, very well.
Is there anything you'd love, like if you're kind of been asked, but maybe just kind of restate in a different way of that doctors that's maybe starting up or or even just busy, but kind of solo entrepreneur of just areas to start to look at to kind of triage. Like these are usually the top 3 to 5 things that like you can get off your plate.
Yep. If you're talking about branding and social media and things like that, it is branding. Aside from, like I said, what we found inside practices, which is the things that I look at are front desk management, like patient intake, front desk triage, because those are the challenges that you see inside your office when it has to do with difficulty hiring and retaining. Like I said, insurance verifications, prior authorizations, those are very time consuming. And when you hire someone in your office and they don't show up to work a lot of times, that's when the practices get very, very in some very challenging positions. We talked a little bit about billing and invoicing as well. So if you look at that side of it, that's internal, kind of the operations that you stated before. On the front end marketing side, it is a content creation and posting, especially if you're brand new, like you said. It's creating a brand for yourself and really pulling yourself out from all the competition that's in your area.
Is there any more color that you can give to maybe the demographic of just like the ideal practice that engage with you? I don't know, maybe there's a sweet spot of size or location, specialty.
Yep. We're all over the map, all the way from dentistry to IVF to literally everybody. What we found is that anyone from one office to 20 offices. So our biggest client has just opened their 21st office, and our smallest client is one office. So we go kind of the cross grain side of it.
No, that's great. I mean, that's really, there's a subset of this audience that really still has that kind of owner operator role. And that sounds like a lot of this kind of sweet spot of where you're in, of just that person's really trying to think about how to kind of shed their responsibilities and grow the business, not just grow their calendar.
Yeah, that's exactly. We see that very, very often, and we probably have about 20 different interviews per week, and those are a lot of the individuals are at that point where they're having difficulty retaining talent inside their own office, and they find themselves doing the tasks that are not profitable for them. So then they're getting pulled away from their profitable tasks that actually help run their business and provide for everybody.
I always love to come into this question. It's usually closer to the end of the conversation, but like, what haven't I asked you that I should be asking you? That there's, I think there's still a little bit of an apprehension towards VAs in the
Yep.
industry, and it's just like it's one of those trends that clearly is not going away. What else should I be? What is it that we haven't talked about that's important to know?
I think one of the questions is, you got what we found and what we find is looking internally in your practice and looking how much it actually costs a practice to train and retain, and then if somebody leaves, to recruit, train, and retain. What we found when practices look at that, before they know it, they look back and it's cost them 10, 20, 30, 40, $50,000 extra per year, rather than having a company like mine take over all of that and take over the headache of the tasks that we talked about.
Yeah, I think that's a really fair statement to just kind of understand a lot of the brass tacks and kind of economics of the business and take a good clear lens at
That
it.
is it. So that's one part I would hone in on, and that's just to reiterate that. I'm glad you actually brought that up again, because taking a step back and looking at those costs and what those actually real costs are extremely important.
No, I appreciate that. Is there a place that's usually the best that people can engage you, engage your company, kind of stay in contact or reach out with you?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have our website is rivaglobal.com, and we have a tab on there that has medical virtual assistant tab. So just click there, go there. You could schedule a strategy session. You could also email me at bob@revaglobal, REVA global.com.
That's interesting. What does that strategy session look like?
It's just a one-on-one, getting to know exactly what you need in your business and what you're looking for. So then we could then create a plan together to where we could work together to make sure that we have a long, long partnership and relationship.
No, that's great to hear. I think there is just so many opportunities with a VA that it's sometimes can even be overwhelming kind of where to start.
Yep. So anyway, if anyone needs anything, feel free, and we'll set up a call.
Awesome. I'm really glad we got to connect, Bob. I really appreciate the time and just the introduction to an area that like clearly is not going anywhere and certainly growing.
Yep. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Thanks for listening to Health Impressions. Subscribe on your favorite podcast platform so you never miss an episode. Leave a review to help us improve and connect with us on social media. Keep exploring, learning, and pushing boundaries. Tune in again soon.